It's really good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was very interesting.
Oh, it really was. And it just got me all jazzed up on a book that I read on early Christianity. And I wanted to get the name of it. Uh-oh. Okay, we're recording.
That's also an interesting subject.
Oh, yeah. Well, something you had said in there too, you guys were going back and forth about stuff, and you said, well, we're just not going to know all about it till you're dead, right? And I
Yeah.
said, right. Stick a thumb up because not only have I been dead, but I know a hell of a lot of people that have been dead.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I
So
know it is.
thank you, Kathy, for coming on the show. Let's go ahead and kick it off since we're
Okay.
already in it. Um so I guess just let everybody know about your book and stuff, and we can just have a conversation about it.
Okay. I had what was called a distressing near-death experience 21, almost 22 years ago, where I went to hell and then went to
Whoa.
heaven and then got sent back. So the name of the book is Misfit in Hell to
Uh-huh.
Heaven Expat. That's can be found on Amazon. It's a story of it's a memoir. So it's of my whole life, kind of leading up to it with all my ancestors, and then having the experience, and then trying to make sense of it for many, many years, and then finally coming to find this group called IONS. It's
Hmm.
the International Association of Near-Death Studies, and there's
Hmm.
lots of formerly dead people in it from all over the world. Great group of people, former atheists and scientists and all these, well-read, intelligent people that who had experiences like that have no doubts that they were dead and came back with all this knowledge of heaven and knowing for certain that yes, there is a God, there is a
Yeah.
purpose, and all the it's just such a big thing. You were talking earlier in one of your shows about how we can't know everything about dimensions and all of that
Hmm.
here, and it's because we've got these nice little compact human brains, and we can
Hmm.
only take in a small amount of the the immensity, not only of the universe and of God, but of all the other dimensions. And it's very
Yeah.
intricate and involved. And we just, we can speculate, but unless you're there, and I have known people who were there what felt like years, and they got to wander through the libraries and the Akashic records, and any
Oh.
question they asked was answered in full, and how wonderful it all was. And then you fall back through the veil, you
Hmm.
drop down into that body, and it's gone. And it's
Weird.
very,
Weird.
yeah, it's very strange.
So, I always feel like I think everyone that's ever lived has always had that feeling of, is this it? Like, there's
Mhm.
got to be something else, right? Because
Right.
I don't know. It just feels like we're all so important to ourselves. It just seems like everything just seems so intense and real, and like, man, my life is so important. For the most people, for the most part. But I mean, I'm don't even exist to other people. So
Mhm.
and you know what I mean? And everyone has their own is basically living in their own world. But I just get this feeling that my consciousness is not just my brain firing off neurons, in a scientific sense. It feels like there's something else that's going on that's keeping me thinking in my mind and stuff, and it feels like it's detached from my body. And I always struggle with trying to figure that out, because this is one of my favorite subjects, actually, is because I do like to I want to talk to people that say they've died, because that's, to me, is the only way to know for sure what happens after you die is to die. and
Exactly.
and it's pretty incredible because I mean, scientifically, we know people can die and be resuscitated or drowned and die and, be resuscitated.
Right.
So there's lots of, it's always intriguing to me to say, hey, what happened when you died, And that's
Right.
why this podcast has been a lot of fun because I get to talk to people like you and others that have had these crazy experiences that nothing, your mind can't make it up if you're dead. If you're dead, your brain's gone.
Right.
You're not, you can't,
Right.
your brain's not working. So it's not just the brain, it's consciousness. And even scientists admit it. They have no idea what consciousness is. And most people don't even think about what that word means. Like the word consciousness, it kind of goes over people's heads, like that word just seems like, oh, I don't know, people thinking. No, it's a lot deeper than that. And it took me a while to even, I just always had to think about that word. It took me a long time to even realize what the heck that word is. And it's basically, like I said, how your thoughts are not a physical thing. Like my hands are physical, my nose, my ears, those are physical, but actually the thing going on inside my mind is not physical. And
No. And
that's what
what
consciousness is.
that's called your soul.
Right.
And that's who you are.
Mhm.
Being in a body is like driving a car. Your body is like a car, and you can see and feel and think, but you are not your body. The consciousness is what we are. Is we're all little pieces of God. To put it quite
Mhm.
simply, God is everywhere and everything,
Mhm.
and we're all just individual little pieces of God, and we come down to earth to learn lessons. And when we go back home, we're back with God, but we're always part of God and still individual at the same time. It's a little, it's if you take Jesus as an example, and I know you're a fan of Jesus, he's my best friend too. Um, I think in my own little uncomplicated human way that he was like a really, really big chunk of God. I'm a
Yeah.
little sliver, and Jesus was a big chunk. And I think he
Yeah,
came
he's
down.
like he's basically like a third of God.
Well,
If you can,
I
if you
don't know the
count,
math, but but
if you
but yeah, he came down to show
yeah,
us how to live.
yeah,
And I think, like everything else that humans get their hands on, uh, he became a myth rather than a person. And
right.
with
That's a good
all
point.
thousands of years ago, everybody started writing about him, and the people who knew him didn't know how to write. And, and over 2,000 years, it kind of got into this like myth or story or something. But
Yeah.
the reality is still that that Jesus came to show us how to be good humans.
Yep. So were you a Christian before you died?
I was born and raised Catholic.
Mm. Okay.
And
So
I know from day one. I mean, my whole family was Catholic, and I went to
mm,
all Catholic schools, and I bought the whole religion thing, all the dogma, hook, line, and sinker.
yeah.
And one of the problems with being a Catholic is, from a very early age, you are told that there is heaven and there is hell and there is purgatory. And purgatory is for the people with medium sins.
Hmm.
And usually, if you don't trade off your purgatory time by doing good works, which you can do some, called indulgences or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
that was what I was taught anyway. That any leftover time, I'd go to purgatory, which is just hell, except you get out. So you will get to spend time in hell. Go look at Dante's and some of those pictures people used to paint of hell, and you spend your time down there until your sins are all burned off, and then you go to heaven.
Hmm.
So again, I bought that hook, line, and sinker. So I really believe that's why I had an experience in hell. I believe I manifested that, and I expected to go to hell, and I wasn't disappointed. I got to go. What I did learn, being there and coming back, was that I was being given a message. And the message when I got back is to tell people they do not have to go to hell. That is incorrect. God is all loving, all forgiving. He will not judge anybody. He will not send anybody to hell. And we don't need to do that. So the flip side of that is I said, well, what should I do to like ensure that? Well, it wasn't really an ensure thing, but I was told when I came back over a period of months after a lot of prayer, because I did not want to mess up and end up in that spot again, I was told to be loving, kind, merciful, forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non-judgmental, and useful. And every morning when I get up, I look at my picture of Jesus and I say, Jesus, please help me to be. And I list all these things.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing to tell you is you were talking earlier on one of your programs about good and evil. And, there must be some punishment for people who,
Yeah.
do evil deeds.
I firmly
Well,
believe that.
yeah, well, that's not true. From what I've learned from talking to lots of people,
Yeah.
is that God is all loving, all forgiving, and we choose to come down. We plan our lives down to the last detail. We come down with some of our soulmates. We come down to experience what it's like. We want to learn what mercy is. We want to learn what empathy is. We want to learn what justice is. And so we come down and we do our thing. And when we go back up home, we have a couple of guides, whether they're angels or whatever, and we get the blessing / curse of seeing every single moment of our lives in a life review. This is not a judgment. This is just for me to look at my life and how I interacted with people, how I was loving, how I was not loving, just to see how I did. And then they flip it over and you get to feel how it felt to interact with you. Every person that ever interacted with you, whether it was nature, whether it was an animal, whether it was a human. And if you did something wonderful for that person, you get to feel that joy. And if you hurt that person, if you cause that person pain, you will feel that pain. And that is not a judgment. It is just, I don't want to use karma, but that's just the way it is. You get the opportunity to see how you affected people. And that is not something you are criticized about. It's like, okay, I came down to do this and this happened and I take responsibility for it, and then it's over. And people then, if you want to, I mean, eternity is a very long time. In fact, it's like an eternal now. There's no clocks. It's just always now. But you can choose to come down and do Earth again. You can choose to go to different dimensions, different planets, or just hang out or go be somebody's guide or somebody's guardian angel. But this just goes on and on and on, but it's all very loving. It's all about love.
So I've talked to about, well, not several people about that have had similar experiences like you, and they all kind of go back to that. But it's weird because, I mean, if I'm going by the Bible, Jesus talked about hell a lot. He actually talked about hell more than heaven. And is Hitler in hell?
No,
Oh,
there is no hell unless you make it up yourself. He got to feel, think about it. He got to feel all the fear, all the pain, all the misery of every single person that he killed or affected. So that is his own
but what do you mean he got to
realization of what
feel
he
like?
did.
What do you mean he got to feel like he was tortured?
The pain, yeah, the pain. I probably not. You don't have a body up there, but that pain is a lot of that's in your head. In that, the fear and the dread and the agony is kind of it's emotional. It's just in your spirit.
See
Yeah,
but that's hard for me to accept, because if that were the case, then Earth would be a free for all. You could go on killing sprees, you could murder people, and you just have to endure a little bit of pain for a little bit, and then you'd be okay.
No, it's not a little bit of pain. It's the exact pain, the exact fear, the exact trauma. So I don't, what we humans are not God.
Yes, we're not.
We want to judge people like humans would, and God is all love. There is no wrath in God, and we don't like that. That doesn't seem fair to us, but that's the way it is.
Do you believe in the Bible?
I think it's a history book slash. I think it's a history book. I think that,
Is it
you know,
nonfiction?
it's it's uh it's been tampered with too much
Yeah,
over the years.
well,
It has 2,000 years. You don't think people,
I
when
don't
they
think it.
translate it from 3 or 4 different languages, it doesn't come up a little garbled, a
No,
little bent into whoever who was translating it and their idea what it was supposed to say.
well, a perfect example was the finding of the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were written, I think, like 1,000 years or so before the actual Bible was actually put together, and it's basically the exact copy of some of the books of the Bible. So
Not today's copies.
yeah, yeah,
No
it is
way.
actually. Yeah,
No way.
yeah, you should check it out.
No.
It's called the Dead Sea. It's called the Dead Sea Scrolls. Some little boy was throwing
Oh, I know
rocks.
about the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do.
He
But
for
the
people that don't know,
translations, yeah.
for people that don't
Okay, go
know,
ahead.
this little boy was throwing rocks up in a cave, like way up in the air, and he cracked a pot, and then they went up there and they found a lot of the books of the Bible, and they were pretty much spot on to the actual books
Well,
written today.
that's fine.
Mhm.
But
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 hold on,
I
I got a whole ton of questions for you.
go.
So,
Oh,
um,
God, that's right.
so did you die? Like, were you clinically dead?
I was in a coma for 3 weeks at
Okay.
death's door. The doctors had
Mhm.
given up on me, told my parents to come say goodbye. When you're in a coma, your consciousness can get a little loosey-goosey. And
Mhm.
a lot of people in comas do go to the other place. When you're on the other side, you know it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. To be in the presence of God, where I was after I got out of hell, is mind blowing. And if you had a body, you couldn't take the amount of love and joy
Yeah.
that you feel there. There's nothing like it.
So you said that no one goes to hell. Then why did you go to hell?
I believed in it. I believed I would, so I did.
Do you think that that place you were was actual the one and only hell?
No, uh-uh.
No.
I don't believe there is a one and only hell. I believe there's hell that people manifest for themselves.
Hmm.
There are, it's a big subject, but no, I think that hell was, a lot of it was things that had happened to me in my life that were hellish.
Yeah.
And down there they were exploded like, 100 times worse
Yeah.
than they were when I was here. It's all in my book.
Mhm.
I detailed it with great, yeah. And the thing about being dead and going somewhere, it's so real that when you get back, that experience has been in your soul. It happened to your soul, not your mind. So
Yeah.
when you have something, I was put into something, they gave me some medication or something called white amnesia. They told me I would not remember anything that happened to me in that coma. So when I came back and I had that extensive experience that 22 years later is just as fresh in my mind as it was yesterday, you know it didn't happen in your mind.
So, did somebody send you to hell? Do you
I
feel
did.
like did you see like an angel and he's like, I'm gonna take you to hell
No,
or
I
anything
just
like
woke
that?
up. A lot of people wake up in the void.
Mhm.
That's a completely dark, no sound, no light place. It's kind of like a resting spot for your soul after it's left your body or a little traumatized. So a lot of people stay in the void for just a small amount to kind of, get their bearings. And then when the scene started having some light and sound, what I was seeing was this reddish glow and kind of a fog. And the temperature got warm, it smelled horrible, and I started hearing people scream. And then this voice came out of nowhere that says, "Do you know where you are?"
Mm.
And I thought, this can't be good. And I just kind of whispered, hell. And he just did one of these Bela Lugosi, "Bwah, ah, ah, ah." And
So
I
it was
took off
Satan.
running. I don't know. I didn't stick around to get his autograph. Let's put it that way. I just took off. And so
Is
I
Satan
found
real?
I don't know.
Huh.
We don't know a lot. And when you get in heaven, you find out. You come back here and a lot of it gets erased
Yeah.
because this is a test. Down here is something we chose to come down and do. And if we remember stuff, then you're cheating because
True.
you're not supposed to
Yeah.
know the outcome. You're supposed to have faith. You're supposed to have trust. And once you know, like I do, that my life, I planned my life. I planned all the difficulties in it, all the tragedies, all the joys, the interactions with people, my 3 divorces, my baby dying when she was 2 days old. Once I understood that I planned all that because I wanted to come down here and learn things, I wasn't a victim anymore. I didn't have to say, God, why did you do this to me? Or God, get me out of this mess. I knew that I planned it. It was all going to be good. I was learning things. It's all going to work out fine. When I die, I'm going back to heaven. We're going to sit around with my soul group. We're going to talk about it all. It just changes the whole rest of your life, knowing for sure that God is love. You're going to go home and you chose your existence here.
So do you believe in reincarnation then?
Yeah, I never did before, but I do now.
So can you come back like as a different animal?
Sure. As far as I know, you can come back any place, anywhere you want. I think God was the first big recycler.
So what happened? How do you get to the end?
There is no end.
So you just keep coming back to life?
If you want to. A lot of people just go, take off and go look at the universe or I don't know. You can do, like I say, our little minds are so structured in what humans do. We can't even begin to imagine what God has for us. It's just wonderful. It's fabulous. And this life is so short. I don't care if you live to be 100 years old. It's a blink, and then you get to go back. And another thing about heaven is when you're all up there together, you're all kind of, the pieces of God are all back, not mushed together, but we're all one, and we're all, you understand what everybody's thinking and everybody's feeling and all that. There's no, I guess privacy was the word I'd be looking for. So part of coming down to earth is like, gee, I wonder what it'd be like not to have all this knowledge in my head, be at one with all these people, but have a little quiet time. What would it be like? What's it like to just be generous or forgiving or whatever it is? And then you come down and you find out.
What about Revelations? It talks about the massive battle between God and the devil, and sending the devil into the black abyss for all eternity, and making a new world. And Satan's going to reign on earth for a good while, I think 1,000 years. And then Jesus comes back and he ends it all. And then that at the end of the day, that's after it's said and done. Then basically it's like happily ever after. That's just all eternity in heaven. What about that?
I think it was a metaphor, and that's what a human being wrote. And I can't in my wildest dreams actually see that happening, not having been in heaven. That's just not the way God works. And I'm sorry. I mean, everybody can believe whatever they
I don't
want,
care. No,
but you're asking me what I believe.
No, I know. No, I want to hear your opinion. I'm not trying to berate you or
Oh no, I know.
put you on the hot spot. I just have questions. Because I'm totally open to anything. You could tell me the craziest thing possible, and I just be like, okay, I want to. I like to ask people so they could explain it to me, because I'm deeply thinking about all these things, and that contradicts a lot of what I believe.
Right.
But that it's your right to believe that. And but I think that there is a hell, and I think, but the thing about hell though is, as I've got older, I've started to wonder, like, man, God, like I would talk to God and be like, God, do you really send people to hell for all eternity to burn in fire for eternity? And I think that that is harsh. And I because have you ever burned yourself before on
Oh
accident?
yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
really hurts, really, really
Right.
bad. And I can't imagine the all-knowing and all-powerful God to send one of his own people, basically, into hell and burn for a million years, and that's not even day one.
You
So
know,
that's
well,
why.
yeah, go back to the only Bible story that I think is the most important Bible story, probably is the prodigal son. God is the father. He's got kids that do well and kids that don't do well. But boy, when that kid that screwed up his whole life comes back, did he throw him out? No, he threw his
Mhm,
arms around him. He
mhm.
he welcomed him back, and that's God.
Yeah.
God loves us all unconditionally. Period! Exclamation point.
So, yeah, so to continue, so I was thinking about that a lot, and I still do, and I'm like, "Man, God, that's pretty harsh, God." And, but I like, again, like we said in the beginning, it's hard for our minds to comprehend what God is thinking because he has no moral authority, and, what he says goes, and there's things that he could do that we just don't understand, and maybe he does send people to hell for all eternity.
Uh,
I've gotten a little bit less judgmental when I've gotten older because I used to be like hardcore, like if you're not a Christian, you're gonna burn in hell. But I feel like that there's, and I know that this kind of, well, I think that there's some people that don't really know about God and they live their life and they do fine, and they might make it to heaven. I'm not the judge. God is the judge. So I enter like an atheist that doesn't believe in God whatsoever, but man, they're a really good person. Like, does he deserve to burn in hell for all eternity with Hitler? Um,
no,
I I don't know. Maybe he
no.
does. Maybe I don't know. I
Would
can't
you?
I can't pretend to say that I know for sure.
No,
Basically,
because you haven't died. You haven't been in the presence of God. That's all. It's
yeah.
no problem. I mean, it's not a fault. That's just how human brains work. If you want to hear a whole bunch of stories about people who have done this, including a neurosurgeon who was an atheist, and when he got an aneurysm, his brain filled with blood, he died. There was no way he could come back. 5 days later, he comes back, or whatever it was, and he's been to heaven all that time, and he's learned all kinds of stuff. He looks at his x-rays and all his stuff, and he says, there's no way I should be here. There's no way I could possibly remember anything, but he does, because it all happened in his soul. His name is Eben Alexander, and the,
I'll have to
the
look that up.
website for my, yeah, well, look up iands.org.
Okay.
There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories by, attorneys and doctors and
Yeah.
professional people, not just people off the street, that have had these experiences and believe them. And I was so excited. It took me 10 years to find that group, and
Cool.
I could not understand how God had sent me to that place. And people would ask me, oh gosh, what did you do to go to hell? I thought you were a Catholic. I mean, my family wouldn't talk about it. I was a wreck for 10 years until I found all these people that says, oh, not a problem. Look at here. This has happened to so many people. Now, the thing about distressing NDEs is they only happen about between 3 and 20% of the time, and those people don't like to talk about it. So most of the time you'll just hear the wonderful NDEs where
Yeah.
people, they're in paradise and they're just having a ball. So mine was a little unusual, and I'm working with IONS now. I've got a kind of a monthly sharing group for people who have had the dark NDEs or want to know more about them, but that's on the website too.
Okay.
But it's God is loving and all forgiving, and if it's so much better to go through life knowing that than fearing the wrath. Believe
Doesn't God
me,
say fear God though?
it's awe,
It
AWE.
it
That's
says fear the one that can destroy your soul, not the one that can destroy your body.
that was not written by a person who knows God. I mean, somebody could write something horrible about you. It doesn't mean it's true.
I believe that my dad actually had a good analogy. He said that the Bible was written by people, and they're basically the sailboat, and God was the wind in their sails to push them forward to write the word.
That sounds nice, but we're just people. We're people, and we think God.
But you're accepting the same. But you're accepting the same God, though. That's why I'm confused.
There's only one. There's only one God.
You said
love.
But you said that you have a picture of Jesus in your house.
Well, Jesus is just as much a son of God as I am a daughter of God.
No, I understand, but my contention is, you're saying that you love Jesus and God is God, but at the same time you're denying the stories of Jesus and what he said. That's just why I'm getting a little confused.
I think he was misquoted. I'm not saying he didn't say a lot of things, but I'm just saying people put words into his mouth, is my opinion.
Oh, okay.
And that Jesus is all loving and forgiving. And I mean, that's the stories in the Bible that I believe, the ones where he spouts off about Gehenna, and that was the garbage dump that they always put fire. So words were put into Jesus's mouth, is my opinion.
Okay. How do you feel about atheists? It would say, Kathy, you just died. You weren't even dead. Your brain was just, you were dreaming, and your subconscious was thinking about heaven and hell because you were on the brink of death, and that's all that really happened. And when you die, there's nothing. It's darkness and black nothing, and you don't have a soul, and your brain just works, and we're just animals, and all that stuff. What do you say?
I love that question. You know what I say? You're in for a really nice surprise.
Okay, cool. So atheists got it wrong.
We're human, nobody, if we were all perfect, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
We're here to learn. So maybe the atheists need to learn faith. Maybe they need to learn hope. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't plan their life. They did.
What about evolution? Do you think evolution is real?
Sure.
You think it's real?
Sure. I mean, just look around. I mean, I think, God just decided to share his love, and boom, there's the universe. And sure, I mean, you can look and see that things evolved. Yeah. Otherwise there wouldn't, I mean, who was it? There wouldn't be, if everything was made at the very beginning, how do you explain what we got now that wasn't here 7.4 billion years ago?
Yeah, I believe in microevolution, like a bird could mate with another bird, and a different bird would come out, or a dog and a dog, and but I don't believe in a whale turned into a dog.
Well, who said a whale turned into a dog?
Scientists.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
When did they say a whale turned into a dog? There's no longer a whale. God.
No, I'm serious. I've watched so many atheist videos. It's unreal how many evolution videos I've seen. A whale slowly got to the edge of the ocean, and then it went back. In fact, they say a whale turned into a dog, and then went back into the ocean and turned into a whale again. So
they've been smoking something.
That's what I mean. Like, I believe in microevolution, but I can't accept that a rat turned into human, because basically that's what they said. That the little rat.
I don't know who they is, but you need to change your whatever you're watching.
No,
I'm watching that.
I'm watching credible. I mean,
PBS.
Richard Dawkins, the most famous atheist.
Okay, you're talking atheists, not scientists.
I mean, apparently these dudes. Oh no, I'm sorry. They're scientists who are atheists.
There you go.
They basically
consider the source.
They say that, yeah, that's true. They could be like, I don't believe in God so much, I'm going to try and prove that
I'm going to make
a rat was a human.
Make up something.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Nah. That doesn't count.
So were we apes?
Probably. Well, we weren't apes. When we evolved, you know what? Everything in the whole world that is part of God. It's all part of God. There's nothing that's not God. So
That's a good
spirit
point.
is involved in everything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then our consciousness, I don't know that. I don't know when,
Consciousness
Neanderthals
arose.
turn. Yeah, I don't really worry about it.
Some people think,
You know?
some people think when an ape ate psychedelic mushrooms,
Oh yeah,
it
that's
is
another one of
when.
your scientists, huh?
No, they really do say that. They said that's when
I don't
consciousness.
know.
Have you ever?
It's all so simple. People try to make it complicated to confuse people, and that's cool. That's cool if that's
Yeah.
how they entertain themselves. That's not what I believe, but they can entertain themselves.
You don't have to answer this question, but have you ever
Sure.
taken any psychedelic drugs?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I value my brain too much.
I have.
Yeah,
So,
we'll see what can happen. And that was reality for you, right?
yeah, but actually, I've been clean and sober for almost 10 years. I haven't
Well, I
had
congratulate you on
yeah,
that.
thank you.
That's
I
great.
haven't even had a beer in 10 years. I don't
That's
even drink
great.
alcohol anymore. Yeah,
Yeah,
I gave all that stuff
my
up.
brother died an alcoholic, and so did both my grandparents. So I know
Really?
how
Yeah,
nasty that can be.
my grandpa did. It's a hard way to die. It was messing up my life for the most part. And I
Mhm.
said, to hell with it. I don't want it, anymore.
Well, that took guts. I
Yeah.
admire you for that.
Thank you. Especially like being my age, I quit like when I was 20 something. So of
Wow.
course all my
Mhm.
friends still drank beer,
Yeah.
and they still ask me, "You want a beer?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm good." So
Mhm. Good for you. Good for
yeah,
you.
yep.
That's awesome. Are
So
you with AA?
no,
You're
uh-uh.
doing this on your own? Oh, wow.
Oh
That is
yeah.
really something. That's
In
really
fact,
something.
I'm against all that stuff. Not against. I know it helps people, but I think that if you can, if you have a direct line to Jesus, which everyone
Mhm.
does,
Mhm.
and you use that direct line, and
Mhm.
you ask the Lord to forgive you and say, God, please, I don't want to drink no more. I'm begging you. I know I can do this. You can do it.
Yes.
You don't need any kind of book or anything like that, or people to help you. I mean, you got the Lord that created you. And to me, that's pretty much all you need. But I do understand that people like to go to AA and like do stuff like that that helps them stay away from drugs and have people to talk to and stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
wanted to
Everybody has
prove,
a different path.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to prove to myself that I don't need none of that. I can just quit.
That's great.
hmm and
Wow.
and I did it. So did you meet Jesus when you died?
Unfortunately, no, but
Hmm.
I had an uncle who died who saw him, and then he came back, and I met other people that have, and I was always really jealous of that. That's the
How
first
come you
person I
think you
want to
didn't meet
see.
him? What
Well,
what can you
it
explain
wasn't
heaven? Can you explain heaven to me, please?
heaven. Heaven is God.
Hmm.
It's heaven is home.
Yeah.
uh that's what everybody says. It's just home. When you get there, you go, oh, I'm home.
This is it.
And it's
Yeah.
just love and joy and bliss and everything good that's ever happened to you, like times a million. And it's we only have human words. We don't, and human words can't
Yeah.
describe God.
Yeah.
We can just say we just have metaphors is all we've
Right.
got.
No, I
but
understand that. That that
but I
that
was
sounds
so angry to be set back. It took me 6 months to get grounded again. I was so furious. I really, really was.
yeah.
It was awful. And but I was told, I had too much left to do.
Yeah.
And so once I
Who
get it
told you
done, I
that?
get to go home.
Who told you that?
My friend who I had been caring for while he was having leukemia treatments. He was my
Oh
best
wow.
friend. We'd been engaged for 7 years and then kind of went our separate ways, but we were still best
Hmm.
friends. And he got leukemia, and I came to be one of his caregivers. And after about 8 months, he died, and oh, it got killed me. And
Hmm.
so a month later, I got super sick and I died. And
Hmm.
and after I got out of hell, I found myself in heaven, and oh my gosh, I looked up and there he was.
What
And
was the
he
trend?
looked,
Oh, go ahead.
well, he looked great. And the last time I'd
Yeah.
seen him, he was just a mess, and he
Hmm.
looked younger, and
Yeah.
he was just so happy. And I thought for a couple of seconds, I thought, oh, shoot, he doesn't know he's dead. And he started laughing, and I thought, he just read my mind, and then I thought,
Yeah.
wow, if he's dead, I gotta be dead. I'm in heaven. Yay. I was so happy. And then he said, now, Mary Kay, you got too much left to do. And I knew they were throwing me out. And I said, no.
Wow.
That didn't hold any worth up there. I was
Yeah.
sent back and woke up out of a 3-week coma and couldn't
Crazy.
move. And oh God, I had so much rehab to go through. And I thought, that was really cruel. I mean, they told me I had too much left to do and I can't even move, much less breathe or feed myself or anything. I was angry for a long time. And then I finally thought, well, if I got too much left to do, I better get going so I can get it
Yeah.
all done so I can go home.
So what
And
was it? What was the transition from from hell to heaven? Like, was it like an instant snap, or was it like,
instant
did you
snap.
feel like you pulled out of something or something like
No,
that?
in hell, I was in all these different scenarios. They just kept changing, like somebody changing a clip on a film. I'd find myself in one worse situation than another, and then got to the one that I didn't know was going to be the last one, but I was pissing off one of the demons and started singing a Christmas carol. And when it got to I was away in a manger, no crib for his head, the little Lord. And when I started to say the name of Jesus, boom,
Yeah,
I was
it says that in the
gone.
Bible that you can
Yeah.
cast demons out in Jesus' name.
Yeah. And there I was, just all of a sudden in this bright light and feeling like I was swimming in love and just so joyous and happy. And then I saw my friend and I thought, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, this is so
that's
great.
awesome.
It
Did you
was.
did you feel real pain in hell? Like, was it like, do you feel like you actually were in pain?
Yeah. And see, because I never knew I was dead. I never knew I was dead when I was down there. I just thought I was in one strange, I wasn't in Kansas anymore kind of situation.
Yeah,
And I was kind of running for my life, trying to stay alive, which was pretty
crazy.
funny when I got back. But yeah, the thing with pain is like, it took me years to try and figure out if I didn't have a body, how did I know they were beating me up and doing all this stuff? And
Yeah,
and then I read this book by Roland Morello that he was talking about a priest in Nazi Germany that they'd found out he was, sneaking the Jews out, and they told him all these horrible things they were going to do to him with, cattle prods and pulling his fingernails out and all that. And then they came to his church to tell him that. And then they said, but not today, and left. So they left him with all the thoughts that all that stuff they were going to do to him
yeah.
in the near future. He just didn't know when. And so that's your anguish. That's your grief. You just start feeling that stuff. And that's the only way I can explain that. It's just, I saw it happening to me. I don't know. It was just terrifying. The whole thing was just terrifying.
Was Buddha right?
I love this. Nancy Evans Bush wrote a book, Buddha in Hell, and other interesting stories. Funny that you said that. What I found out later was that people who have these distressing near-death experiences are the brave ones, because they bring back messages nobody else would want to have to go through to get. So the fact that I could bring back that message relieved me of any feeling of guilt or I deserved it. It was like an honor to be able to come back and say, God is love. God is not wrathful. God will forgive you anything, and do not go to hell because you don't need to. And that's why I'm back. And when I get enough people to hear it, I get to go home. So it's nice being on podcasts, because I get an audience. I don't have to go door to door telling people this stuff.
For sure. Yeah. So what do you think about all the other gods, or that like don't believe in Jesus or all that? So do you think Jesus is the one true God?
No, I don't believe Jesus is God any more than God is God. God is God, period. And we are all pieces of God. Again, I think Jesus was special, but I think we're all children of God. It's, again, we got these little brains, these little human brains, and we try to make God like human. So for us, the son would be the one to do such and such. And so it can be overthought, it's just really simple. And I know, the Bible says this and the Bible says that, but I had to leave the Catholic Church because I couldn't say those prayers anymore, that Jesus died and sits at the right hand of the Father, with the angels and the thrones. There's no thrones and stuff up there.
So do you
It's
think
like
that they
one
got
big
it?
happy family.
Yeah. Do you think they got it half right? Because I mean, if they were right about Jesus, maybe they just,
I think,
got the
well,
details
Jesus,
mixed up a little
okay,
bit, maybe.
let's go back. Okay, you're asking, so I'm gonna give you my opinion.
Sure.
Going back to the prodigal son.
Okay.
I start to think I have a son and a daughter, and I thought, okay, I'm a loving mother.
Yes.
One of my kids wandered off and hasn't talked to me in 10 years. The other one is still loving and nearby. If that child came back to me tomorrow and said, I'm sorry, Mom, it was a big mistake, I love you, I would throw my arms around that child so fast.
No,
I would not
understand that.
punish
100%.
that child.
Yeah.
So the fact that,
I
I'm
agree
gonna
with
get
you on
I'm
that.
gonna get a lot of flack on this one, but to say that, why it doesn't make sense that God would send, quote, his only son to die for us for an original sin that took place in a fictitious garden by Adam and Eve who never existed. It doesn't add up for me. I don't think God would do that. I think Jesus decided to come down and say, God is all loving, God is all forgiving. This is the truth. Now, the people around there didn't want to hear that, and so they killed him.
Yeah.
But I don't think God made that happen.
So do you agree that Jesus existed in the flesh?
Oh yeah, I love Jesus.
Okay.
I mean, he's our big brother. He's the one, that taught us to be loving and kind and forgiving. He was God's messenger. He was, we're all part of God. It's just too big for us to imagine.
Yeah.
So we simplify it in human terms, and it doesn't translate well.
Yeah. I mean, we all are trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main reasons why I even started this thing, is because I'm trying to figure it out. And I know that I'll never know 100%. I mean, until the day I die.
That's
So,
right. It's all going to be clear.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
in a weird way, I'm just
No,
like,
you're right.
yeah,
You're
I'm like,
right.
man, I can't wait to find out. And I hope
Yeah.
I'm right. I hope I'm right. Jesus seems like the best bet to me.
Yes.
Other gods, yeah, they could be good, but I've seen a lot of evil in this world, and
Mhm.
they've been caused by religious wars and
Mhm.
even Christian wars. When you go through the
Right.
Crusades and
Oh
what the
yeah.
Catholics did
Yeah.
to the
Inquisition, all
Muslims,
that
yeah, and
stuff.
all that stuff,
Oh,
yeah,
nasty.
it was
Yeah,
brutal.
I'm more of a spiritual person now than a religious person. Religion has got too many rules,
I
man-made
agree,
rules. I can't do
100%.
it. So just being spiritual, loving God, Jesus is the way, and it's it.
Hmm. So, are there aliens?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, aliens, they call them extraterrestrials just because Earth is kind of arrogant to think that Earth is the only planet in the entire solar system. We don't even know how big it is,
What if it
that's got
is?
life. Come on. I
What if
mean,
it
that's just not
is?
likely.
What if it is? I love thinking that we are the only planet with life on it in the entire, it's insanely
Oh no.
massive. I love thinking that. It's fun.
Well, it is. It's more fun for me
It
thinking
makes
when I
me
go
feel,
back
it makes
to
me feel
heaven, I
special.
can go to some of these other places. I'd love to see some of these other places. And heck, it might be
Yeah.
fun to be a Martian or something.
Yeah. So are we the aliens or are they the aliens?
No. Again, you're overthinking it. We're all God's creation.
So do aliens have consciousness? I guess you could say.
Probably. But I don't know. You'll find out when you get to heaven.
Do
You
you
can go
think
visit.
do you think all these alien encounters and all these accounts of, oh, I got abducted, or oh, I saw an alien, or Area 51, or all that stuff, is that all real, you think?
I don't know if it's all real. I know my dad, who was a pilot in the Navy, saw 2 alien ships. when he
Oh,
was flying near DC.
oh, that's
And
your dad in that picture.
yep, my
Oh,
dad wrote
cool.
the first chapter. That's
Really?
from World War II. That's how we
Oh,
got to
wow.
be Catholics. There was a miracle. He landed upside down in his
What?
fighter jet in the Philippines in the middle of a war, and
Whoa.
his head was stuck in the sand.
I'd like to talk to
And he
him.
said, yeah,
Sounds
well,
like a
he
badass.
died he died unfortunately in January from COVID. He was 97,
Oh
but he was
no.
ready to go. He was
97?
yeah,
Dang,
he
that's a
even
full life right there,
it
man.
was. It
That's
was.
a full life.
He sent me some messages too, so I know he's fine.
Mhm.
But anyway, he was an atheist, and he told God, "If
What?
you get me out of this mess, oh yeah, you get me out of this mess, and I'll have all my family become Catholics." And just when he said that, some
Uh-huh.
guys ran out of the jungle and lifted the tail of his airplane and pulled him out and dragged him into
Wow.
the jungle and saved his life. So yeah, that's a really amazing story.
It
It's
is.
my first chapter. But yeah, my dad though,
Did,
we would talk about what happens when he dies,
Mhm.
and he was a pilot and he still flew for many years. He was in the Navy for 30 years. And I said, "What do you want to do when you get to heaven, Dad?" And I'm going to fly.
Oh,
So he wants
wow.
to go flying all around the
Yeah,
universe and
for sure.
just see it all. Yeah. No,
It
he's just,
yeah. Uh, it's weird how everyone has that come to Jesus moment, right? Right before they're about to die.
oh, he was always a Catholic though. He was very, very,
But I'm not just talking about him, but like a lot of
yeah.
people, like they're like atheists, or they've always. I always wonder, like, I mean, you can't be inside a person's head, but I guarantee you, the majority of people, when they're facing death for real, they're gonna, like, they're gonna have a come to Jesus moment, like, oh, I'm about to face my maker, that type of deal.
Well, if they're an atheist, they don't believe in anything on the other side. But
But that's what
like I
I
say,
mean. Like, even atheists, when
they
they're
got to
about to die,
wonder.
they're like, oh crap, what if I was wrong? What if I was wrong?
I know, but they open their eyes and they're in heaven and they're just think,
But
well, it was
why do
just
you
something they chose. They chose to
what
come down. I wonder what it's like not to believe in God. So I'm gonna go
have you
down to
tried
earth
it?
and see. Whoever the atheists are, they're trying it.
I always thought about trying it, and I actually tried to do it one day, and I just felt
Hmm.
so empty.
Me too. I
I
tried
just
that
felt
one time. It
I,
was
I was I was
terrible.
scared to try it. I was
Yes,
like, man, what if I, like, start denying God and I die today? You know what I
right.
mean? And so
Yeah,
uh and so I was like, man, I'm just gonna see. I don't even think it was a whole day. I was just like thinking that
no,
way,
yeah.
and I just felt nihilistic and empty. And I'm like,
Hmm.
dude, why am I even here? This is stupid. And
Hmm.
then that's when I was, and I'm sure there's atheists that say I'm an idiot, for believing in God, and there's nothing, and they love life. But me knowing God already, and then turning away and saying there's no God, it's just like, it's like seeing something and then, like, kind of like denying,
Hmm.
that it's
Hmm.
there, and just saying, no, 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 it's not there, it's not there. You know what I mean? And
Well, I'd rather believe
that's
in
what,
God and be right.
yeah, for
But,
sure.
but even like I say, the atheists, they wake up and they're going, then they remember who they are, why they came to earth. And it's just like, wow, that sucked. I'd never do that again. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's okay. We're all, God
We're
loves
just
us
trying to figure it
all.
out.
That's
It,
right. That's why we're here. Figure it
yep.
out.
Is space never ending? Is
I
space
don't
eternal?
know. I didn't get to see it, so I can't tell
Oh,
you.
bummer. Like,
But
yeah.
I would think, I don't know, but I don't know. That's one of the fun things about knowing that you're going to go to heaven, because you've got get this list of questions, and once you
Right.
get up there, okay, and then all your everything's answered
Yeah.
for you.
That was
Yeah,
interesting what your dad said about flying through space, because I actually thought the same thing. I was
yeah,
like, when I
kind of like
die, I hope,
Superman.
yeah, like, I hope that I can go see what's over there, trillion light years that
Yeah,
way, whatever that way is. I'm gonna go a trillion years, light years that way, and I want to see what's over there. And
or go down a black hole. Wouldn't that be fun?
yeah, 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 for
See
sure.
where it
Black holes.
goes.
Black holes.
I
What the hell is a black hole, Kathy?
don't know. We'll find out.
It says in the Bible that you'll have the mind of Christ when you die.
Oh,
So,
it'll be bigger than Christ. Christ
so
on earth just had a human mind.
I believe that Jesus was God in the flesh, 100%. And
Okay.
I think it was like remember earlier when I said it, he's a third of God,
Mm-hmm.
because there's the Holy Trinity, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God. And I think that's, I mean, kind of like how I'm my father in a way, because I have his genes in his blood, but I'm my own person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like that, I would say. So when I hear you have the mind of Christ, that kind of, I interpret that as we'll have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
Mm-hmm.
we'll know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because right
Well,
now,
yeah, because we're all one.
if I knew everything right now, I'd probably just die, or my head would explode or something. My
Right. Yeah,
my
you
my
can't hold
brain
all that.
my brain can't do it.
No.
Most
Nope,
people
can't do
most
it.
people go through their lives and they don't even think about space, period, which
Mm-hmm.
blows my mind, because I constantly think about space, and I look up and I see the stars and I'm like, what in the hell? How did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
how did this happen? And I always try to think about what else could have been instead of Earth. Like, it has to be in something that's eternal, because then you would be in a box. And then how do you get outside the box? And what's outside the box? And so I just keep going down these wormholes of thought. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can only do it for a little while until I like start to start to break down. And I, at the end of the day, I always tell myself, I just there's no way I'll know. Like, my brain
No,
can't handle it.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just beyond us, and you will know someday. That's
Yeah.
the fun part.
That's the hope, that I die and
Yeah,
Jesus is
yeah,
like, hey man, what's up? I'm like, yeah,
right. Did
let's
good
play some
job. You'll
golf.
say good job. That's right.
Hey,
Hey, do you like golf?
I've been playing golf like crazy the past.
Oh, then you got to get the book Golfing with God,
Oh,
and that's
what's
by
that?
Roland Murillo, M
Oh,
E
tell me
R
about
U
that real
L L O.
quick.
Oh, it is so cute. It's about a guy who loves golf and he goes to heaven, and boy, you can't believe the golf courses up there.
Oh,
And
wow.
he plays golf with God, and
Oh, did he beat
it's
him?
just one of the best books I ever read. It's just
Wow.
darling.
Okay, here's my question. I
Yes.
always wondered this. If we're gonna be we're gonna have our glorified bodies, we're gonna be perfect in as far as physically. Are we perfect? Like, do we still score perfectly in golf? Because obviously you wouldn't want to be perfect, right? I mean, you'd want to miss some shots, right? I mean, it wouldn't be any fun if you could just drain every shot, right?
Well, that's very true, except that probably would be heaven. But I hate to let you know, but I really don't think there's going to be, who wants a body back? Once you've got a spirit, you don't want a body back. It's too confining. It's like being in a tight girdle or something. So
Yeah.
there's only spirits in heaven, no bodies. Sorry.
So, but is this spirit in the form of a body?
Yeah, you can look at it any way you like, I'm told. But when I saw my friend, he looked exactly like himself, except he was younger. I'm told
So he's a
everybody looks
body,
like they're
right?
about 35, but
So,
it's just the vision of the body. It's not an actual body.
so it's not a
It would
physical thing. Like, you
no
can't touch it.
physical.
You can't touch
No,
it.
no,
So you
you
pass
can
through it.
melt. Yeah. As far as I know, I didn't get to do it. I thought I was still alive up until that point.
I
I
think
didn't
it's
even look down, so I didn't know if I had
yeah.
a body or not. But I
Oh,
recognized him. He was very recognizable, and people recognize each other. They
yeah.
look like themselves on Earth, except about 35 years old.
Well, well, I should be able to grab a golf club, right? Because
Yeah, I
that
think
guy
you can
said,
do whatever you want. In your heaven, you can do whatever you want. I'm told it's just immense. It's a huge place and
are we all in the same
beautiful.
place? Is it a physical place, or is it a mental place? Like, say when I die and you die, are we both going to be there in the same
Yeah,
place, or is my
yeah,
thought
we
different
could
than
if we
yours?
want to. No, you don't have a body, and that's not a place. It's hard to describe. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
But I know you get together with your soul group.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And for a joke, I always say my soul group's going to meet in a really nice bar with free hors d'oeuvres.
Hey, that
And,
works.
and of course, that's just a joke.
Yeah.
But you do meet up with your soulmates and find out that well, all right. I'll give you a little heads up. When we come down and we made this contract to have this life, we some of the soulmates we have, we only see for just a little bit. We kind of check in sometime during our lifetimes and help each other with something. So my guess is right now that you and I are soulmates, and we decided in our lives when we came down that we would meet up on a podcast sometime and talk about this stuff. And that's our little way of saying, gotcha, or we, and then when we go back to heaven, we'll say, well, that was Kathy. Kind of fun.
Hey, what's going on?
That podcast was really fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
I got one more question.
Sure.
Is there relationships in heaven? Like, will I see my wife and will I be married to her, or will there be marriage or children
no marriage.
or no
children? Oh yeah, all the spirits, all your children. Everybody.
Okay. So there's
and
no
they all look like each other,
basically.
And you all love each other, and you're not stuck with somebody. No, it's all free. It's all free.
Oh, one more thing. Okay. Yes. If I die and I get there, do I have to reincarnate or go somewhere, or can I stay there? Because I don't think I want to. I don't want to start over. I'm good.
I'm done with Earth myself.
I'm done.
I'm gonna go someplace else.
Yeah.
But no, you can hang out, or you can go travel, or go to Earth. You can be a guide. You can be like a
ghost,
an angel. Yeah, you can. Well, like a positive thing, like. You say you kind of have a guardian angel or a spirit, but you can follow somebody. You can be a buddy and just hang out and advise them and just you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
All right. That's why they call it heaven.
Kathy, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say this has really been fun, Elijah.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. No, I had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kathy, tell everyone where you can find your book.
It's on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, any place they have books. It's called Misfit in Hell to Heaven Expat. And do you know what an expat is? An expatriate?
Expatriate. Yes.
Is a person that lives in one country and then works in another country. And when they're through with their work, they go home. We are all heaven expats because we start in heaven, come down to earth to do our work, and then go home.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy. This was a blast.
Okay, you take care.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on. Bye.